Okay, welcome back everyone to the Ibrahim Kai Podcast. It's been a minute actually. Me and Kai, Kai was busy, he was on set shooting some things, and I've been busy doing my own thing as well.
I've been shooting these. I guess it's like a mixture of commercial with event documenting. So like the commercial that I've been working on for the past 2 weeks is called it's called Taipei Lantern Festival. I think that's how they call it in English. So it's basically a lantern festival that they hold it in Taipei every year, and so
Mm-hmm.
my job is to create a TV commercial for them to promote it. So, hopefully next year more people will come. What I did for this is my first time working with them actually, and what I did is I kind of merged a studio. Like I shot something in the studio first as an opening, kind of like a trailer, like a teaser, and then going into the actual event. So it's a mixture of like shooting in studio and live event. The purpose of me shooting like the opening is kind of like a behind the scene on how they created the lantern. So after you saw how kind of like I sneak a peek on what they did to prepare the lantern, it made more sense to see how the lantern looked like afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So like you saw how they prepared it, and then you saw it. So you get more, maybe it spikes more emotions because you saw how the process was before. And I feel like I've been shooting these live events turning into like commercials a lot. I've done like several ones for the past 2 years. So it's very nerve-wracking. I don't even know if you've done these before, but it's so stressful because a lot of, and I think people who've shot wedding, they would feel the same thing. Because wedding is like the same thing. Wedding, if you like
everything is like in the moment, right?
Yeah,
like
if you missed one, it's done.
Yeah, you cannot miss a moment.
I've seen cases of like photographers missing like they kissed. Sometimes they have this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and or like the father and daughter dance. I heard from someone like they were eating while like the daughter and the father were having this dance. So the photographer just completely missed the whole part. So it is very nervous. You don't even dare to go pee at some point. You don't even dare to go to the toilet. You don't even dare to eat. So like the whole thing is like every day is from like 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it's like 5 hours every night. Like, and so basically 5 hours. I don't try not to go to the toilet, try not to eat, and just shoot the whole night. And then we live there. And then we packed all of our computer screen into the hotel. So after shooting, we just edit until like 3 or 4 a.m. And then we wake up again in the morning, and then we prepare everything and we go shoot again. So like that was the whole thing.
The whole festival for how many days was it? Like a week?
Yeah, almost 2 weeks.
Dude, that must be like other than being physically draining, that is probably very psychologically draining and like emotionally draining.
Yeah, it actually,
because you're always stressed and you're always on your toes. You have to capture everything. Otherwise, if you miss something that is important, then you're in trouble because you cannot redo it again. There's no redo. There's no replay.
Oh man, but I think it's so exciting at the same time. Like for those who love filmmaking at like the highest level, then it's like it's kind of like you get this adrenaline rush.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like so exciting at the same, because it almost felt like it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like you're jumping off a plane. I don't know. I've never jump off a plane before, but it's like if you missed it, you're so done, and you don't know what's gonna happen if you missed it. It's like that. So
yeah, but that's also good, and it's also good practice. You learn to think on your feet. Like, I wonder like whether you like think about compositions where you're like shooting.
Oh hell yeah!
Because you're like, oh my God, this angle is sick, bro. Let me just go run to that direction and just capture that angle.
Yeah, that's actually a thing. Though.
Because I also do that sometimes when I'm shooting things on the spot.
It's a great practice. It's a really great practice because
It's kind of like street photography.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And I feel like because street photography, like I had this experience in street photography, it gave me this experience in looking at something with my eye, and then I would understand which composition would look good in camera.
Yeah.
So like sometimes, like, because we work with like 3 photographers, and then I would also tell them what are the things that I want, and then I would give them an idea what kind of composition I want. And usually when it comes to these live events, what I always tell them is that if you're not sure which focal length you should get, just get a wide shot, because we're all shooting in 4K, so somehow we can crop it.
You can zoom in.
Yeah. At worst case, we can crop it. Obviously, if you zoomed in, you get a different type of like I feel like obviously it's best to shoot everything raw without cropping, but if you don't know,
it's better than
nothing.
It's 100%. And you also shot it with the A7S III, right?
Hell yeah!
So
we got 3 A7S III. It was so good.
Oh my god, the autofocus is great. Low light performance is great. So when you're at night, you know there's no problem with that. And did you shoot S-Log or?
That's a good question. I think I shot an S-Log 3.
Oh, okay, that's awesome then.
Yeah.
You have.
And then we turned up the ISO all the way up to the.
Yeah.
How much was it? Was it like 12,000?
12. Yeah, it has dual native, so 1280, 12800, and
12,800.
I think. Yeah.
Man,
that's
so
the second
good.
ISO.
It was so good, man. And it's not like because someone had a A7 III as well, and at some point I was shooting these hyperlapse and time lapse with the A7 III because the A7 III has higher pixels than the A7S III. So when it comes to photography, I would choose the A7 III. But when I was looking at the footage between these two, man, the difference is like insanely huge. The A7S
between
III,
noise,
the A7S III footage is so clean. It's like even I was watching it on like a 4K screen. It's like so clean. The difference is really big.
It's crazy, huh? Dude, and also like even me, bro, I had the A7S. When I jumped from the A7S to the A6400, like I can feel the difference in noise. It's like very, very big, you know? It's a smaller sensor and at the same time higher megapixels. And you can feel that even with an A6400, which is supposed to have a good, like a kind of enhanced noise reduction and all of that stuff, but still like you can feel the difference. With the A7S, I would never feel any noise. Like even I could like crank up the ISO for as much as I want and I would never
Oh really
noise, yeah it's still sick, bro. So
the thing is, I feel like I also get like I'm really much more impressed by DaVinci Resolve also because there's certain footage I shot with the A7 III because I didn't have time to switch to the A7S III. It's so noisy, and when I was using these noise reduction on DaVinci Resolve, it looks much better. It's like 2-3 times better than the original footage. So I feel like if you really get a noisy footage and try to save it, try to use DaVinci Resolve because it's gonna help a lot.
Yeah, I do, but I have the free version, so.
You need the studio version. You need the studio version.
Yeah. I don't know. I might get the studio version later. But yeah, man, the A7S III is crazy camera. And you also, the good thing is that like I heard that people don't like shooting S-Log with 8-bit because they say that, there's no reason to shoot S-Log with 8-bit footage because your footage is gonna break very easily, But if you're shooting with a 10-bit, which the A7S III has 10-bit, then your footage it's very you can grade it much more easily without breaking it.
Exactly, that's definitely for sure. And plus, I think the older version of the Sony camera, when you're using S-Log 3, the base ISO is like 1600 or something like that, or like 800.
Yeah.
So it already starts with a very noisy footage. But the new A7S III, as far as I heard, is like the base ISO is like 150 or something like that.
Oh my god, that is sick.
Yeah, so you can just start with the very low ISO because S-Log 3 is already a very noisy picture profile, right?
Yeah.
I remember you also shot this spec ad recently, which I really liked it. What was it called? The Harley Davidson?
Yeah, it was a spec ad for Harley Davidson, yeah.
And you also shot it in low light as well.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was with the
I
BMPCC 6K, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, the low light performance in that camera is also very, very good. You know, when you pair it, especially when you pair it with the Sigma 18 to 35,
mhm.
you know, so you have like a fast aperture 1.8, and I shot it like with a native ISO, which is like 400, and
Mhm.
even like in the middle of the night, just using the street lights,
Mhm.
you know, even the lights under the bridge, and there was no problem, man. Like,
Did you
you
have
know,
any external
no,
lights? Like, did you set up lights
like
by yourself, or everything
no,
was
not
based
at
on the
all, bro.
environment?
You basically can't. Most of it was based on the environment,
Mhm.
and you know you basically can't because you're moving. You know, especially like with car shoots and all of that. So it was very
Mhm.
similar to that, and so I couldn't set up lights because we were obviously like shooting somebody while driving. And so, but the other part, I had like a small what's it called, the small tube light which I
Mhm.
used
Yeah.
because I had shot in like a stable, like in a stable
Yeah.
location. So that is when I used the tube light. But while moving, I didn't use anything, just the street lights, and the
Mhm.
results turned out amazing also. And I really liked like manual focusing with the Black Magic with the Sigma, you know,
Oh,
because the
really?
focus peaking is it's really good.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
The
definitely.
focus, yeah, the dots are very clear, you know, so you don't, like, it's very hard to misfocus,
Most
you
people
know.
actually are frustrated because BMPCC doesn't have a like this continuous autofocus. But if you're kind of used to, as you said, like
Yeah,
this focus thing,
manual focus. Yeah,
yeah, you can get a knack of it. I think you have to
yeah,
be
yeah,
used to it, because especially you shot everything handheld, right?
yeah. Handheld, everything handheld.
Well,
The only thing that has, so the camera doesn't have IBIS,
mm-hmm.
but the lens has OSS, I think it's called. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of substitutes a little bit, but hey, it's not the best, but you can work with it, you know,
Well, it
especially when you
helps.
shoot a lot.
At least
Yeah,
there's
it
one.
helps. It definitely does. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I've also been working on so one of my goals. So there's this like very big comp factory in Doha. I don't think it's a factory. I think it's like yeah, I would say it's a factory, and they basically it's a brand for milk and yogurt and all of that stuff. You know,
Mm.
you probably have those brands in Taiwan. They're quite popular. Like everybody drinks their milk or like
Oh, you mean
eats their
they
yogurt.
export it to all around the world?
I think it's local in Doha, but
Ah.
it's very popular in Doha.
Ah.
Their products are very popular.
Mhm.
Like I like we basically buy their products all the time. You know, and basically I was working on a spec ad for one of their products,
Mhm.
you know, for like a one of their like milk bottles, I think.
Mhm.
And basically, yeah, I like I set it up in the house, and I did some lighting setups, and I brought some plants, and it's kind of like what Daniel Schiffer does, you know.
Oh, I
There's this
see.
guy called Austin Paul, you know. I didn't want to do crazy commercial, like crazy transitions and crazy um you know, these crazy
I
moves with the
get it. Like,
camera, but
yeah.
I wanted to be stable and like kind of clean, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I was working on that, and at the same time I'm actually working on I'm creatively managing a burger restaurant,
Mhm.
right? So I recently took on this project for a burger restaurant, and I basically take photos of their like burgers,
Mhm.
right, for their social media and all of
Mhm.
that stuff, reels, produce content for them basically.
Mhm.
And I've been working on that. And man, like yesterday was like the first day of shooting,
Yeah.
and dude, like shooting burgers is like really, really difficult. That is what I discovered, because it's a very, very delicate job. You
Mhm.
know, you have to like be careful about the burger, like so that you don't break it, the bun doesn't break, and
Because you
everything
kind of
is
have to
set up
like
very
to
well.
stack it, right? Like there's
Yeah, you
these
have to
layers and
stack it.
everything.
Yeah, you have to be very careful so that it doesn't look saggy. And after a while, you know, you use the burger for one shot, and then the other shot you have to make sure it looks new again. And there's a lot of
It must
nuances,
be
and I
so
learned quite a
frustrating,
lot
though.
from that. Dude, it is actually frustrating, you know. And honestly, like I did the photo shoot.
By the way, a
I
quick question: how many burgers did
Yeah,
you use like at the end of the
dude,
shoot?
I used 3
Three.
burgers, you know, and I used one pack of fries,
Uh,
and yeah, I was switching between them, and sometimes I shot them all together, and I tried to do some moves because obviously I had inspiration and I had a proposal that I submitted to the client, and
Yeah.
based off that I was shooting.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I mean, I had a shot list and I was going through it,
Mm-hmm.
and basically these ideas, like how can you make the burger, like how many ideas can you bring up with a burger, you know?
Were you
So, like
nervous?
stacking the burgers, dude. I was nervous because I haven't. So obviously, I've done product photography and
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with it, but I haven't done food photography. And food
Oh,
photography is much more difficult because it's much more delicate. You know,
Would
because
would
you're
you
dealing
say
with
that
food and it can
food
break.
photography and this product photography is like very different, or you can still use your old experience applying?
I think you can use your old experience, but there's definitely something more to add to the table. You
Uh,
know, because with product photography, if you're shooting a gadget, if you're shooting something that is still an
Mhm.
object,
Mhm.
then you don't have to worry about it breaking because it's gonna remain the same. You
Mhm.
know, you just have to light it perfectly. You can focus more on the techniques. You know,
Mhm.
but with burgers, you have to be careful of the burger itself. You know,
Mhm.
it needs to look good. The patty needs to look good. It
Mhm.
needs to look glossy. The cheese should not look cheap. You know, like the bread should look. The bun needs to look new.
But don't
You
they
know,
use a lot of fake things in food commercials? That's what I heard.
they do, but there's definitely a technique to working with a normal burger, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like,
So
don't they
like
put like I heard they put like these hand cream.
sponge.
Oh yeah, sponge and stuff. But basically, they use like non-edible things to make it
Yeah,
look
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah,
polished and everything.
yeah, yeah, definitely. They do that, yeah, for sure.
Did
And
did you
like
did you
they
use
add
anything that you?
no.
uh,
I just used the same burger.
you
And I
just
made a lot of mistakes, bro. Some of
uh,
the burgers like were like quite smashed, and I didn't like some
oh
of the photos. And
uh,
obviously I sent them to the client to see what's their opinion. They liked some of the photos. Some of the photos were like terrible.
mm,
So it was a learning experience for sure. You know, especially burgers. Like I would say, other food is easier than burgers because with burgers you have stacks of things on top of each other. You
and it's
know,
oily also.
and it's oily and like
Uh,
it's greasy and things
ooh.
could break. You have cheese, you have sauce, there's a very like the vegetables that are inside. If you have tomatoes, you need to make sure it looks good, you
Uh-huh,
know.
uh-huh.
So there's a lot of nuances, to that, and if you leave it for a while it can look old, uh, and mushy. And yeah, I mean, I learned from it. So, and I think tomorrow we're going to shoot the reels for
Uh-huh.
the restaurant.
The same
So
one.
yeah, the same one.
Oh.
I have some ideas as well that I'm gonna implement with Reels. Do some videos for them. So yeah, hopefully that's gonna turn out better because obviously I learned from my
That's really
mistakes from the
interesting.
last time.
Actually,
Yeah.
you gave me a new an idea because I have this friend. He works in London and
Mm-hmm.
he shoots specifically like restaurant and he shot a lot of burger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can bring him up to the podcast maybe
Yeah, that would be nice,
for
man.
next year.
Yeah.
Like because I'm really interested in these food commercials. Like I feel like
Yeah.
the way that you prepare things is like there's a lot of things that we don't know about the behind the scenes and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I mean he's not like he didn't shoot like for TV, but he worked with a lot of local restaurants. Like most
Yeah.
of these local restaurants menu and these Instagram videos, he made them. And I just
Mm-hmm.
really want to see like I feel like every food photographers they have their own way of dealing with food, and every food has different way of dealing with it as well. Like I saw some people they specifically only shoot burgers, or like they only
Yeah.
shoot like candies or like coffee and stuff, right?
Yeah. And they call them food stylists, I think. And their job is like to style the burger and to style the food in a way that looks good, to create texture. Um,
But don't they just hire one
you know,
guy to actually just do that? Like it's not even a filmmaker.
yeah, it depends on the budget as well, right? They're not filmmakers. I think they're photographers, right? And they have experience with food styling and
Mhm.
a lot of that stuff. And it depends on the budget, right? Like if you are working with a very big brand, you can even bring robots, dude. Have you seen like those
Oh
videos
hell
from?
yeah, these robot
Yeah, they
arms,
bring
right?
robots, dude.
Precision robots. Oh my god, those are
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then they shoot it with
Yeah.
like these very high speed cameras, right? Like 1,000 frames per
Yeah,
second with the burger
yeah, yeah,
dropping.
yeah.
Oh man, those are sick, man.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your budget, right? What kind of how much the client is willing to spend,
Uh-huh.
and your experience, obviously, with that. And I would say like there is a very big overlap between like shooting food and shooting normal products,
Yeah.
but you just have to add on your experience, how to deal with food, how to style it, and it's more focused on the art direction than the photograph itself, than the composition.
Oh.
Because the setup is the same usually.
Yeah,
But what's different is the set itself. How do you place your burger? What kind of location do you have, and what kind of place are you putting it in?
And you do
that
kind
is
of
what's
like,
different.
in a way, you do need like maybe I don't know, like I'm assuming you do need like a branding background, because you kind of need to know what does this I mean basically for every commercial technically, but for like these restaurants, you need to know who are their target audience. So how can you make the food look appealing to those people, right? And how like besides just making it look good, I feel like there's a way to make it look good and make it look delicious, like tempting, that you want to eat it after you see it, right? Because you can make a burger look very cinematic, but I don't want to eat it. Like I don't know if you've seen Tarantino's movie. He always have food inside his.
He has
film,
food scenes,
like Inglourious Bastard, and people even talk about like specifically all of his food scene, not food, but like he in Inglourious Bastard, or in what's the film again? The one that he got famous for with Samuel Jackson.
Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, man, how can I forget it?
He
Pulp
has
Fiction.
the burger scene even dude inside.
Yeah, I
it's crazy.
I thought
scene.
It was just me because I was hungry. But when Samuel Jackson was eating that burger, and then he drank that Sprite, I don't know. I can feel like it's in my mouth or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the sound design as well, I think.
Yeah, man, exactly. I think sound design is very crucial when it comes to food commercial.
But I guess for Tarantino, like his goal is because food, like when you watch someone eat, it's very gripping, it's very hooking, and he wants to hook you as an audience, and so he uses that as well as a way to like grab your attention.
That's very interesting.
It's a very smart way. Yeah,
but it's really fun also. Like speaking of films, I was asking you didn't answer me, but like, how did you feel about the new Spider-Man film? If anyone haven't watched it yet, please don't just leave now, because we're gonna spoil. Are we gonna spoil?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, talk about it.
A little bit. Dude. So like when it comes to Spider-Man, so here's what happened to me. I was going to watch Gucci for Gucci is Life, or House of Gucci. Sorry, House of Gucci.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was going to watch that movie, and I wanted. So me and my friend wanted to watch House of Gucci, and then we went there and we wanted to book the ticket for House of Gucci, and turns out that all the seats were reserved, in the cinema. So I was like, you know what, let's watch Spider-Man. And my friend at the beginning was like a bit resistant. He didn't want to, but we had no option. So
why is
we
it?
joined
Spider-Man? He doesn't like Spider-Man.
He doesn't like Marvel movies, because they're all the same. That's what he thinks.
All right.
Which is kind of true. It was to a certain extent.
He's not wrong.
And so we booked Spider-Man, and I looked at the rating, and it was 9. I was like, holy shit, dude. And I eventually, like previously, I had been watching some teasers, trailers about it, and I read some articles like on the Hollywood Reporter, and I had some background about the film. This film, I was like, this film is breaking the box office. It's raising like a lot of money. So I was like, it better be like, it must be good. It must be sick. And I go there and I watch it, and I'm like, holy shit, this does not deserve a 9. This definitely does not deserve a 9. How do people like this film as much? And I think the reason is because of the main character, right? Like Tom Holland is a very good actor. He's a very, very, very good actor. And he's very skilled, obviously. But the way he's set up in the movie is that he is portrayed in a way that he's a stupid kid, and who does a lot of mistakes. And they didn't give me a reason for me as an audience to empathize with the character, And that's why I didn't like this movie. I understand that they brought all like the Trinity. They brought the Peter Parker, and they brought.
Have you watched the old Spider-Man though?
I have, but it's been a while, so I don't quite remember the movies. I watched them when I was a kid. That's my opinion. I wouldn't give it a 9.
I agree with you actually. I feel like how can you say it? It might trigger some people, but I feel like most of the rating came from the fact that they even managed to make the Trinity happen. Like,
Okay,
so it's kind of
I
like
see where.
I feel
Yeah.
like maybe it would have been like a 7, I'd say, for me.
Mm-hmm.
It will be like around 7. Honestly, I feel like there are things going on, and it's still a very Marvel style, and I 100% agree with you. I feel like I've talked about it in like the last podcast, I think, with Agon, saying
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
like Harry Potter and the old Spider-Man was one of my favorite because they really try to make us empathize with the Peter Parker, the old one, the first generation Spider-Man. But
Yeah.
with these, like especially the new one with Tom Holland, I could not empathize with him at all. Like the first movie that this new Spider-Man with Tom Holland is everything is about visual effects. I could not like feel anything for the character, and even for this new
Mm-hmm.
one, like I just feel like he's a stupid character who disturbed this Doctor Strange doing his magic, and the whole thing happened
Yeah.
kind of stupidly. It didn't.
Yeah. And bro, like the stupidest thing is that they gathered all the villains in
Yeah.
one place,
Mhm.
and then he decided that he wants to release them
Mhm.
because he's a good person and he thinks they're going to be good for some freaking reason, while they obviously look a freaking villain, you know, and
But
malevolent.
that's the Marvel side of things because Marvel they don't do dark stuff. If it were to be in DC or something, they might just kill all of them, you know. But Marvel styles, everyone is like has a good side of them. We should forgive people. We should not kill people.
But you've gotta make me like see from the perspective of the character. I just couldn't see it, man,
Yeah,
because
and that's why
you had these villains locked up. Just send them back. You know, why would you need to free them and then fucking fight them
a lot of
again
their audience are
and then
kids.
send them back?
Like kids
Yeah.
watch these movies, so obviously like it depends on what perspective you're looking at it. If it's from a purely entertainment perspective and you're like much younger and you don't care about these storytelling,
Yeah,
I don't
I can see
understand.
that. Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying that the one who made this movie is not a filmmaker. I'm just saying that, you know, it just depends on what kind of film you like. You know,
Mhm.
someone, and the thing is, even Tarantino, he likes Marvel movies. You know, he watched it himself. So it really
Mhm.
depends on your style. The things that you said, I
Yeah.
agree with you, but I still watch Marvel movies just because it has a lot of entertainment aspects to it. But
Yeah.
I feel like, as you said, it didn't deserve a 9 as a film itself. But the fact
Yes.
that they gathered like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, it is actually very
Perhaps that
interesting.
has. Yeah.
So it's more like the
Yeah.
production side; they deserve extra points.
Mm.
And I feel like after I watched this film, it almost felt like all of the Spider-Man movies before were meant for this moment to happen. It felt like that. But
Mm.
it's just me because I was a big fan of Spider-Man. That's why I still keep watching it. But I mean, you obviously didn't watch a lot of them, so it
Yeah.
didn't make you.
And yeah, and I can see I can see where you're coming from, and I agree with you because like this because it brings back this kind of history of the previous Spider-Man movies and bringing them all the characters, and probably that has a lot of effect, like it has a lot of value for other people. You know, a lot of people might see that as something big and that's what they want. And I always say that you don't always, like, when you watch a Marvel movie, you don't just watch it for the story. You watch it for the production quality, watch it for the jokes. There were a lot of jokes that hit, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
quite liked them.
Oh, they
And
had this meme inside, right? A lot of people came for the memes. They had meme. I don't know if you remember seeing there's this meme called like I'm something of a scientist myself. I don't know if you know that meme.
I might,
So
but
that actually a very old meme. Like for example,
I
people
probably don't know
who
what that
play
is.
like Candy Crush or something, and then you say I'm somewhat of a gamer myself, and there's this guy.
Ah.
Like the original one is Peter Parker's friend father Osborn, the green, what's it called, the Green Goblin. He said I'm something of a scientist myself, and that just became a meme. And then he said it. He said that in an old movie, and then he said it again in this new movie for the sake of the memes. And they like the thing about this hype, which is something that I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to end the podcast. So like a lot of people, when we look at the Matrix 4, and there's some similarities between this new Spider-Man and the Matrix 4. The Matrix 4 is like he want to bring back legend, to make something that was legendary before, but this but it didn't work, obviously. Like a lot of people didn't like the Matrix 4, but this new Spider-Man movie is like they bring back the legend, but they're not doing something that was successful before. They're making something new out of it. So you cannot really judge it based on what they did before. I don't know if you understand what I mean. It's like they called back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to do this new Spider-Man movie, but it just brings back some memories, but they're not trying to use what happened before in a way. I don't know, like I don't know how to say it. Like they just, it's kind of like a cameo, just to make people feel satisfied about it, but it has some new elements to it. But like the Matrix 4 is completely like just like a continuation of what happened in the third one. You get what I mean? So
I see what's the difference. The difference is that in Marvel movies, you are making the film, you're basically making the film for the history, for the fan base, for the people that love Marvel and love the story and love the overall arc of Spider-Man. You know, so you don't look at it as one film. You look at it as a set of film, as a continuation of the past, or as a connection from the past Spider-Man movies. You know, this is like a kind of fulfilling prophecy. You know, for the fans, for the people that like Marvel, for the people that like the cult of Marvel. You know, so you don't just look at it as for this, like just a movie as in itself. You know, you look at it with respect to the past.
It's like, it's not going to change anything how I feel about the past. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything before. But maybe the Matrix 4, after you watch it, you don't feel as good as, like, if you're going to watch the first and to the third one again, you're going to think about the fourth one, which is very bad. And it makes you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, and also, like, back to the point that I mentioned before the podcast, it's also about like this like idea of reproduction, like keeping, like, the value that the Matrix has is because it was created and it was gone. You know, it was done, it was finished, and you cannot recreate it. Like that is a value in itself. The greatness of the Matrix is because it was done. You know, it's a classic. You know, and people will still keep on watching that classic. And so when you create it and you reproduce it again, then you have kind of taken that rarity idea out of it. You have taken, you know, you have made it a little bit cheaper, no?
Oh yeah,
by
definitely.
recreating it.
Could be.
And you better do a good job when you do that, even, you know. And so you have to take that into consideration. The classics are classics because people have watched them and they carried a lot of memories in the past, and they were great films for that time, you know. And when you recreate them again, I don't know if the value stays the same that they had, you know. And so that's one of the things I think about when it comes to.
Oh yeah, I think that's a great point
films.
though. Like for the new Spider-Man, it's not like a recreation from the old one. It's just like it is a new one, but the old one they kind of like pass by. It's like a quick, like it just satisfy the fans. But the Matrix 4 is like they're just creating a new one based on the old one. It's like a direct continuation. Yeah. So that's why it's really hard to surpass the past. And like I feel like the only movie that, I don't know if you watched The Incredibles from Pixar.
I don't think so, no.
Like they made, anyways, like a superhero movie, and they made it when I was a kid, and then just recently they make like a second one. It's like they have like a 10-year gap or something like that, but it was good. But it's I think it's very hard to reach this level of success if you made like a very successful movie before.
Yeah, man, recreation is hard, so you better do a good job at it when you do it. That's my thing. And yeah, again, like Marvel, you don't watch Marvel for the pure film as in itself. You watch it for the comics, for the whole culture, for the fans, for the people that care about Marvel movies. And so, yes, when you look at Spider-Man with a 9 as a separate film, I don't think it's a 9, but maybe because they brought all the Spider-Man movies. So people like sympathize with a lot of things that, you know, when you look at as a filmmaking, as a character from the film, or as a, how do I say this? When you look at it from a technical perspective, as a filmmaker, as a story itself in a film, you might not find it valuable, but other people, normal people, might find it valuable because they look at the whole history and the culture of the film and
Oh
all of
yeah,
that.
definitely, definitely.